It's Kevin again from PhocusWire. So we are here with Philippe Chereque, President of AMEX Global Business Travel. I think it's quite an interesting time in your little world. There's some interesting things going on, isn't there? And I think we're just going to dive straight in. Hot topic of the last week or two. Air France KLM says it's going to start charging a GDS surcharge from April of next year. That coincided the same week as IAG's initiative started, which albeit was 2 years and a little bit on from Lufthansa's move. What do you sense is happening in that?
I think first you say the couple of weeks, it's not new. It's something which has been going on now for more than a year when Lufthansa started. So I think there are a couple of things. The first thing is definitely some airlines don't accept the financial model or the way the model is done between distribution, GDS, their own content. The second thing is that for some time, IATA has been defining what they call NDC, and I think some in the industry have been trying to use NDC to provoke a change in the model. So the first thing is that it's clear that even if Lufthansa created this surcharge more than a year ago, nothing has really changed in the world of distribution. It's clear that Lufthansa is charging. They have a very important position in Germany, but they were asking for the one who don't want to pay the surcharge to develop what they call direct connect. I always joke with my team saying that NDC means no direct connect. So, and the issue is not NDC. NDC for us is a different structured message. Before there was a DFAG, then there was XML, now there is NDC.
So is it just another name for a standard?
It's not another name. IATA has been defining more content in the message.
Yeah, that's the fundamental difference, is that it's about content, right?
Yes, it's about content, but it's about content together with the fare, but it doesn't change drastically the way we want to sell the content. And what happened in the last couple of weeks with IAG and British Airways has shown that we can find a middle ground where IAG or BA has recognized that the same size fits all doesn't work, like Lufthansa did. Whoever you are, you have to pay the surcharge, and if you don't want to pay the surcharge, you have to develop some direct connectivity. But I can guarantee you that if we had to do what a GDS is doing today, and I know I've been a founder of Amadeus, I've built a GDS, so I know how much it costs. It will cost several times 16 euros or 10 or 11 or whatever it is.
Right.
So what you have agreed with BA shows what is the value of the GDS, but you have agreed to look at what a GDS will not provide as far as content is concerned. So if they want to sell some merchandising, if they want to sell some other features which are not delivered through the GDS, they will have to send it to us through their so-called API. But today, I'm still waiting to know what the API will be.
Right, so the BA model agreement is the one you like.
Yeah, we like it because we don't have...
But not the Lufthansa and the Air France version of it.
No, the Lufthansa, the Air France we don't know because we have 6 months to discuss.
Right, okay.
But the Lufthansa one, which is same size fits all, you go to one channel, you pay plus 16. You go to the other channel, you have to develop a lot of technology and you save the 16. It is not worse. And I would like to understand what is the difference. I'm talking for travel management companies on the business travel. I can give you a couple of figures. More than 60% of the trips you are booking have either a hotel segment or a car segment. So I don't want to develop a direct connect. More than half of our trips are involving either interline or several airlines or whatever. So we cannot rebuild a multi-mono systems where every time we want the content to one airline, usually our customers are asking us to give them what is the 2 or 3 best propositions for the trip they're asking.
Okay. So we've had 3 major carrier or carrier groups do this now. I mean, who do you sense might be next, or is, you know, what happens next in this particular subject area, do you think?
I hope that both Air France and Lufthansa will look at what you have been trying to do doing with British Airways, which is the recognition of the value of the GDS. And as I said, it doesn't prevent us to work either with the GDS or directly with the airlines to be able to show them better the content. But there is something which is really creating more cost to the distribution, is the fragmentation of the content.
Right.
And what Lufthansa has done is creating a certain fragmentation. And if you have several airlines, you have to rebuild, I keep saying, the box on top of the box. And they call it an aggregator, I call it a GDS, but that's more or less the same thing.
Okay. How do you think this is going to develop over the next year or so, if we were sat here in a year's time?
I do believe that we will have some more interaction with the airlines for what we call the rich content. I understand when an airline is selling a business class ticket, normally on the GDS, you have the code C or J, but one is flat, the other one is half flat, the other one, etc. So they want to be able to go directly to the traveler to give them this kind of information to drive their choice. And we are ready to get this content and show it to our customers. But again, we need to be able to aggregate several content on several airlines in the same proposition, which neither the Air France surcharge or the Lufthansa surcharge will help us to build.
What do you think over time will happen to the traditional full content agreement that airlines sign with GDSs?
I think they are going away. I think they are going away. But what does full content means? Full content means that you need to be able to offer as much that an airline.com will offer. So now, won't the airline keep some content and sell it only on BA.com or Lufthansa.com or AirFrance.com? Maybe in the leisure sector, maybe, but in the business travel, it's not their interest. I mean, more than 60% of the travelers we book on these airlines are flying in front of the plane.
Right.
They're not flying in the tail. So, and so we do represent a pretty cheap way of distributing the high revenues travelers for these airlines.
Okay, well, let's move on from airline distribution then, Philippe. So, what kind of things are your traveling customers? So we're talking about, you know, those that travel for corporations and their travel buyers, their representatives. What kind of things are they now asking from you as an organization, from a tech perspective?
So first, there is a different request from the travelers and the travel buyers.
Yeah, so I was trying to get a sense of whether there is a difference.
So and travel management companies, I have to admit, have not been taking care of the traveler. They have been more taking care of the requests of the travel managers. Now, for me, a good travel manager should make sure that they ask what their employees are asking for. But let's start with the travel buyers. So the travel buyers, what they want is they want to have a content, that we deliver a content which is fulfilling all the criteria of their corporation. Security, travel compliance, duty of care. They want to be sure that we optimize the cost of the travel. They want to make sure that we integrate the deals that they've been bilaterally negotiating with suppliers, etc. So that's for the travel managers. For the travelers, I mean, they want us to take care when everything goes well, they don't ask us anything. They want an easy booking, they want a nice interface, and they want to be able to book their content. But when there is disruption, when their flight is cancelled, take an example, a flight is cancelled, if 60% of the trips are including a car or hotel, I mean, they don't want to have to check if they can have another flight on the airline, if they have to change their car, if they have to change their hotel, etc. So they want us to take care of them through mobility. So that's the big name. They want us to take care of them through mobility during the trip. Because before the trip, there is a shift to online with online booking tools, but during the trip, they want to be assisted. They want chat or messaging because they don't want to have to wait on the phone. They want us to call them before. We have implemented something we call proactive traveler care, is that when we know there is an event, when we know ahead of time a flight will be cancelled or delayed, we call the traveler instead of them be captive at the airport and discover that their flight is cancelled. So they want us to take care in any event, and at the same time, all of this has to be integrated with the requirements of the corporation, because there is a fundamental element in the business travel is the one traveling is not the one who pays. So you need to make sure that you fulfill the requirements of the corporation.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us on to the next one, what the travel buyer wants them to do and what the traveller wants to do. I mean, there's a lot of talk about private accommodation or sharing economy type accommodation. I mean, what kind of sense are you getting from the travellers that they're looking for more of that now, and shifts in policy by companies to allow their employees to use those types of products?
We had this kind of request for a few companies, but there is not a big attraction for it right now.
Really?
No, I mean, the bigger the company is, the less there is an attraction, because I talked before, I mean, it will take a long time, but I talked before about security or duty of care. So they need to know where the travelers are, and they need some time even to guarantee the content that we are selling to them. If we go down on the other end of the chain, then we have to offer this kind of content that we do. But today, it's not, I mean, I would say 99% of what we sell, and we sell a large number of billions of travel, 99% of our content is not booked on this kind of accommodations.
Okay. But we have a younger, we will have a younger population of corporate travellers at some point.
Yes.
As they graduate, they get into jobs, they travel more. I mean, less so on the sharing accommodation part, but perhaps that's an element. What are they going to want from their travel managers?
The first thing is that they want to move away from the phone. That's the number one.
Away from the phone?
Yeah, they don't want to have to phone anymore. They want to deal their travel with messaging, with chat.
Okay, yeah.
They want to be able to share their trip with some colleagues. That's what we are doing within the corporations. But at the same time, they have to build their travel, or their travel has to be built according to the corporate criteria. So if the corporation doesn't want them to go to an Airbnb place or a home away place, they have to follow the corporate policy. So I think it's up to the...
But there may come a time where there's pressure on these companies to at least relax those policies.
Yes, but I do believe these companies I just mentioned, they have to adapt their offer for business travel, which is not yet at the level of what we can offer, integrated in the different programs.
Okay, so let's have a pretend crystal ball here, gaze into it and tell me, if we were here in 5 years, what would we be talking about? What would be the hot thing?
I do believe, and I will surprise a lot of people, but I do believe in 5 years from now, you will still have TMCs.
Okay.
And they will have a big
That's
role.
Quite lucky, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they will have a big role to play still.
Yeah.
They will still have...
But not a bigger role. They will still have a big role.
I do believe they will have bigger role by integrating when they have to do in expense management. And no, a bigger role in a sense that in AMEX GBT, we are spending a lot of money on technology today because we want to move from a service company to a solution company.
Right.
We have to integrate in the ecosystem of the corporation. We have to be integrated with their HR system, to their financial system. So I do believe we will more sell solutions than pure bookings. Bookings is already less than 25% of what you do.
Yeah.
Because you have really to integrate in the human resources or financial systems of the corporation.
Yeah.
I think the GDSs in 5 years, maybe they will change their name, as I say, their name will be aggregator, but they will still be here. And we will see, the model could change. The new technologies will help us to show better the airline contents.
But the fundamental way that it's all kind of set up with the TMC and an intermediary technology company and the end user and the suppliers at the end will basically stay the same.
Yes, but we could put together our distribution capabilities with technology companies, with technology capabilities. And we're investing a lot by developing our own because we want to solve the content fragmentation. We want to solve what we call omni-channels, to offer the same offer in different channels.
Yep.
And in 5 years from now, I do believe that the mobility will have taken over and the offline will be reduced even more than now.
Okay. Philippe Chereque, thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.